Hello, it's me, BP Radiant, here to do our set review for M21. We're going to be a little quicker than last time. I'm going to talk about every card in here and how I think it'll be useful. I think that this is, to start off, I've done a brief review. I've gone full in depth about to, and I'm about to see some synergies and stuff. I think that this is going to be an absolutely insane limited card pool. Honestly, like, it looks so much fun. There's so much power here. And, like, honestly, there's so little what I'm going to call, like, draft chaff is the term a lot of people like to use. Sorry. Use my keyboard. So without further ado, let's get started. Alpine Watchdog, 2-2 Vigilant for 2 Vigilance. Nice. Big fan already. Has the dog synergy with it, so it's going to go great if you manage to first or second pack the War Leader to make it a 3-3 Indestructible. For 2, seems just really strong. Getting to play this with Vigilance as well. You have a blocker up if you attack. And bears can win games, especially in this format. I think being able to go bears and go wide can be really strong. Angelic Ascension, supreme, amazing stuff. So a couple things about it that I've seen. One, you exile your own like 1/1 or 2/2, you get a 4/4. Boom, you upgraded. Yeah, it costs 2 things, but it lets you do it at instant speed. You can blow somebody out of the water on the defense. You can get a flying 4/4 angel creature token. It doesn't have vigilance, but you can use this to get like the last couple points of damage in the air with evasion. You can use it on your opponent's big bomb. Good example is used on like Baneslayer, Basri Cat, things like these that are just like win the game in draft. This is just going to completely negate that in some really cool removal, and it exiles it so they can't even get it back in the graveyard. Huge fan of this in draft. I think this could even see standard play. I'm super excited for it. I personally think I'll be trying to run it in a certain decks, as well as anything kind of tries spot removal. You're like, boom, let me take that removal and get my dude. Anointed Chorister. Draft. You take it later on if you're in white for sure. It's not going to get you into white, but it's something good. It's a 1/1 for 1, which is usually not that good. The lifelink synergy can be really big, and having a way to pump later on to get 4 triggers all the 4 life gain stuff. Useful. Even Gaggle Master. I love that because it's a geese and a gaggle of geese. You can do if your creatures with flying. Yeah, there's some flying subtypes to this with blue-white right now. It's okay. It's draft. It's a 4/3 flying for 5. It'll win you the game if you get it. If you're in white, pick it up. Baneslayer. First pick, yeah. And this is 100% pack 1, pick 1, or whenever you see it, pick it up. If you're in arena, maybe you don't care about it being in your pod as much. Even if you see this, I would hate draft this in tabletop. I think that it being is just too good. Like this will blow people out of games so hard in tabletop. This is gonna see standard play. If there's not like a white shell that has it or an angel shell in the future, I definitely still see there being this card in sideboards of like anything with white control against mono red. It's just too good. The lifelink, the first strike, the 5 toughness. It's just really good for 5. Fantastic French vanilla bear or French vanilla card. Basri Ket. Yeah, I'm on board. I think this brings me into white 100% from drafting. The 1 counter indestructible is pretty cool. Brings it to 4. The -2, if I'm mid game, awesome. If I'm late game, bro, this just like even if I've got a bunch of 1/1s already, this just brings me in like a bunch more 1/1s, and it still leaves me with 1 toughness. Like worst case scenario, like I can hold back a couple blockers if I need to. It can just help break stalls really well. The 1 indestructible is really cool too because you can drop it on something that has lifelink per se or evasion, and they have some evasion, and they're gonna take it or they're gonna have to block. I think he just has a lot of modal utility. He's a 3-drop planeswalker done well, and the emblem goes off. I mean, bro, that emblem's gonna destroy people if it goes off in draft. Like it's 4 turns, but still. Bowser's Acolyte, pretty cool. 4-drop 2/2 or 2/3 with lifelink. Put on one counter to other target creatures, so kind of iffy. Cool if you've already got stuff on the field, but I'm not really picking this early if I can help it, unless I'm going for a lifelink synergy, or I've got like a super large amount of creatures and a low go wide kind of strat. Because you're basically never really going to want to play this in turn 4, because you're only really going to have generally out like 1, maybe 2 things, depending if you're going. Lieutenant, there's not a lot of multicolor in this set, I'll be honest, so that's kind of iffy, but a 4-drop 3/4 Vigilance is already pretty strong. Gets 1 counter another creature you control. Cool. By turn 4, I could totally have out another creature. And if it has 1 counter, you get a knight. That's awesome. And if the knight token spawns gets a -1 counter, or +1 counter, yes. This can pull me into white pretty easily. I'm thinking this is probably pack one, pick one if you get it. Um, if you don't, I think this still could pull you into white if you're on one color but not a second yet. I think this card is just incredibly strong, and the vigilance is going to be incredibly good with things like Basri. So if you manage to pick Basri earlier, you're looking at things that have vigilance a lot more value because you can immediately say, I think a great example potentially could be Alpine Watchdog, a couple other vigilance cards, Boom, Slam, Basri, minus. Get a good swing with your vigilance, get the 1/1s tapped and attacking. They have weird answers for their blockers, and you're good from there. Solidarity is an insane card. I want to make this work in standard somehow with like a fun kind of like maybe token theme. The one counters are really cool, and it's like 2 mana cheaper than it's ever been on a card. The next example is like 4-drop multi-use for the Planeswalker, which is a Johnny, green-white Johnny can do it on a Planeswalker ability for 4, who can theoretically do it twice and get value of a 2 mana pop. But I still think this card's really cool. I wish it was instant speed, but it'd be so bonkers if it was. Yeah, I mean, Contained Priest, good reprint. I'm a fan. I think it's pretty cool. Um, Purely because it's also non-token. I think that this is like a fun. This is, you pick this up if you need a 2/2 bear with flash, or you maybe see sideboard play in standard against like I could see seeing play against Luca decks if they stay around, um, or mutate. This hoses mutate so hard because they get like all their creatures from the top of their library most of the time. So it's just tough. So you've got to be careful when to flash this in. The good news is they have to flash into response to mutate, not and the mutate trigger. So that's at least good. But it's still tough. Cards can be really cool. Against these side will play if any kind of decks like that go meta. 1/3 for 2. I usually rate this pretty low. The 3 toughness seems to be pretty good here. There's a lot of 2/3s and like 3/4s and stuff, so it could be useful, but it's probably in the last pick in the pack for me. Yeah, our generic tap creature this time costs 2 to do it. 3-mana creature, and you have to have features flying. Pretty close to draft chaff in my opinion. I think there's not enough flying to really make it worth it. You can't draft it if you're not drafting a good amount of flying. Otherwise, it's just a 2/3 for 3, and that's never really where you want to be in this. Daybreak Treasure, a 3/1. Gives me else 2 attack. I'm on board. I think it's really cool. This is probably like middling pick for me. I think that like if I need more creatures, the 3 power is super relevant. We have a lot of things that are like 2/3s early on, 3 toughness, and the Gaggle Master. Like the 1 toughness really hurts, but anything that has 1 or 2 toughness is susceptible to shock and stuff in this format. So it's still interesting. Defiant Strike is amazing. Pick this up. It's a cantrip that buffs in white. Exactly what you want. Dub. There's not a ton of removal. So I think this on some of the vigilance creatures can be really cool, or some of the lifelinkers to get the first strike. Seems really cool to kind of enable those strategies. So it enables really good attack blocking on a first strike vigilance, and it also enables a buff to lifelink if you're going that strategy. So that's at least cool. And for flying, it's a +2/+2, and potentially lets you outtrade their flying blockers. Beat resistance is pretty cool. 2-mana instant. Gets a counter, so it works with Basri really well, and then it also gets pro of a color, which is going to be huge. You're going to get blown up by this card. The +1/+1, and then also like the protection is going to blow people out. If I know I'm in white, I'd pick this up pretty early, I think. I also like the fact that it's right next to the card. It's right next to the card it's emulating, but I think this card's really good. This is really cool too. A 4-drop 2/3 usually seems kind of meh, but even if you get to attack with it once, I think effectively getting like a 3-mana 2/3 and a 1/1 bird seems pretty cool, especially if the bird can get through. It enables the flying strategies, it turns on a lot of flyers, and it gives you an evasive threat. So versus the comparison to this I always see is the 1/1 for 2 Boros guy who makes a 1/1 on the ground. I think the fact to make some flying is really important. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of things I think will give this evasion. Giving it maybe 1 to hurt this would be pretty cool, or giving it dub is another thing kind of turns that on. Face Fight is great. It's our pacify. It's really expensive, which kind of sucks, but the 4 life gain will trigger things in the set. So I think you pick this up if you need removal and you haven't got anything else. Kind of mid tier, it is uncommon, so probably like maybe one of these tops if you're potentially lucky. But you also go this if you see, excuse me, some lifelink. I just got it working out. Gale Super's kind of cool. I like it. So I think that one of my favorite plays would be to go Falconer Adept into Gale Super turn 5 to give this flying to get one free attack in before it's able to really be blocked. This also in conjunction with green could be pretty cool. You give a bigger creature. Any combo you go with this, I think this card is just okay. It's not as good as the ones that when it attacks with flying, but your opponent can't plan around it as accordingly. So there's really a lot of sneak you can do here. This is probably a mid pick for me too. It's also a 4-drop 3/2 flyer, which will just end games if unanswered. Glorious Anthem is great. I don't know if you pack one, pick one this. Like you windmill slam it from the pack and pass, but there's some decisions to it. I think that if I'm in white, I'm probably picking it up. The double white's kind of hard because you can't just splash it in if you change your mind later. But I would look at it in the pack and kind of see what I think it would go for. Generally, I think I'd be okay picking this up pretty early. I think white looks fairly strong right now. And again, I'll kind of make my final decision at the end, but white looks fairly strong. I think it's pretty reasonable. And it's not just white creatures, so you can still go 2-color and maybe even Magical Christmas Land go 3. But I'm excited. I think this card's really cool. The art is gorgeous. Raymond Swanland is a phenomenal artist. I will say it every time I see a card of his. I will be getting these for a deck at some point. Griffinary, if you're going black-white life gain, you windmill slam this. If you have any other life gain cards, or you think you might, have a little bit of black and a little bit of white, or you're thinking about it, take this. Getting a 2/2 with 3 life at the end of your step, like even doing that once or twice. If you do that once within the next turn or two, this is paid for itself. If you manage to pull it off 2-3 times during a game, it's a 2-drop enchantment. You can drop it pretty early on. You don't lose a lot of tempo. Even later on, you could drop it, say like turn 6. You drop Griffinary into Face Fetters. You have mono white. You've gained enough life. You get a 2/2. Seems pretty good. I like it. At the uncommon slot, you won't see it too much, but this game, there's not a ton of enchantment removal right now that I saw earlier. So I think this could really just kind of like take you by surprise and like really just roll. I like this one. Light of Promise is really cool too. Again, there's not a lot of removal in non-white or black that's really going to affect this. So I think being able to put this in your life gain deck, same way. You don't really pick these like pack one, pick one, but if you have life gain, you might think about it, or if you have a feeling that's what you're looking to draft, like that could be the plan. To pick these up, they're really good life gain payoff cards in white in the uncommon slot. Lead Judgment, 3-drop sorcery, destructive 4 greater. Yeah, I mean, sure. This seems really good. It's going to get rid of a lot of the big threats that your 2/3s, your 3/2s can't really deal with. So I'm on board. Idol of Endurance, I'd probably pick this up pretty early on if I saw it. I think that the fact just like, even if they're low cost cards, if I can make it stuff like, I don't know, if I could make it things, for instance, like Containment Priests, or there's not a lot of good low that. I guess there's nothing too crazy. So maybe I don't really pick this up. I think this is iffy right now. Let me see kind of how it shakes out, but I think it really based on the 3 drops you've got. I think before you pick this up, you really need to have like some really solid 3-drop creatures or lower, and it just kind of gives you like a card advantage engine that way. I could see Standard. Standard's going to have a combo around this. I already know it. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be interesting. There'll be some kind of weird, like, I don't know, Mardu sacrifice shenanigans. 9 lives. Weirdly enough, I think this is going to be better in draft than it ever will be in Standard. I think the fact that, like, you could drop this later on. It's kind of iffy if you get it early on, but, like, I think if I got this, like, in pack 3, maybe even pack 2, I'd take it. If nothing else was, like, screaming at me that it needed to be gotten. I think this could buy you, like, 1 or 2 turns. It'd be interesting to see. I wish I'd flash, so you could really bait people with it, but that's cool. Plus, all the art is really awesome. If you go to see this artist's Twitter account, he actually posted each of these that it kind of relates to. So, like, that's a Kira, Kemba, Aribo, Mirari. I don't know all these, to be honest. I have to look at it again. Megara is almost purely... I think you could draft him. 2/4 for 4 lifelink is kind of bad. But I think at the very least, the ability to make them, if they attack more than one creature, you can now draw a card, is pretty cool. And then I also think that the second spell thing is going to be super uncommon that it really goes off. I think that especially in draft, it's just really uncommon to see people double spell a lot. I think he's purely there for like Brawl and EDH. I think he's going to be a monster in 4-player Brawl or EDH. I don't know if he's going to be a commander per se, but I know he's going to be in the deck, and I'm really excited for it. I'm planning on crafting one pretty quick. Mixture Battalion, 3 drop 3 2 with upside's kind of nice. It is still Battalion trigger, so it's like 3 things to attack, put a counter on it. I liked it. I think it's interesting. Mid pick. I'd pick it over some of like the weaker stuff. I'd probably pick this over Falcon or Abaddon on its own. I'd have to see how far that goes. It just depends, because I think there's a lot of good go wide strategies right now, and I think getting that counter is important with some of the other white cards you can get in the set. Pack leader, yeah. I think that there's a good amount of dogs in the set that are okay, that have okay bodies with a unique effect. I picked this up pretty early on. I think worst case scenario, he is a 2/2 for 2 that is indestructible while attacking. So unless they take something with 3 toughness, boom, you're swinging in for 2 every turn that they have to like answer down to. And especially depending who you're playing against. If I'm playing it's like red green, I'm gonna start dropping counters on this guy, and I'm gonna get him big, and I'm just gonna keep swinging in and making them lose parity every time, because it does not say other dogs. It's including himself, which is phenomenal to me. If I'm picking up dog stuff earlier, there's a couple dog cards, or the dog cat Naya card, Rimbuck Schmut. Cool, I'm on board. I think that there are some really strong enchantments and artifacts in this set, and I think just having the option to get rid of them is super nice. And basically, he's a 3/4 for 4 with disenchant on him. I'll take it. Revitalize hits that 3 life gain and draw card for the Airy. So if you pick Airy, I'm gonna start drafting every one of these I can, because these are 3 life draw card cantrip, get a 2/2. I'm on board. Ruined Halo, I'm iffy on this one, so I wouldn't draft it early. If I'm in white, I'd take it, but you want to wait till they play something that's like game ending and drop it. Or if like you're on game 2 or game 3 of like a format like that, you want to be able to have this against their game. Like, so they have a Baneslayer, you know the Baneslayer, you know you'd have no way to deal with Baneslayer at all. Drop it. Can't hurt. Baneslayer can still block you, and you have to figure out a way around it at some point. But at the very least, they can't kill you with Baneslayer. I'll take it. Shrines are back. This is exciting. Really like me some shrines. So this one is, I think, low key one of the best shrines. It's the only one drop. They do kind of like go in order, and I think this is one that if you're gonna try the shrine package, which I just don't see really coming together in limited very well because they're uncommons and a rare. It's worth trying. I think that the tap is pretty cool. I think worst case scenario, having one that can potentially. So note, this does reduce itself, so it only costs 5, which I think is super interesting. But yeah, so it costs 5. Still having 5 to tap down a creature is iffy. But if you're managing, like, if you're thinking you want to try, like, you don't have anything else in the pack you really want, and you want to potentially try to early on get a shrine, or you've already gotten like, a couple of the shrines, I'd pick it up. I pick this up 100% if I think I'm going to do shrines. By itself, one of the last things I pick up, 100%. But I'll bet you right now that every pod will have somebody trying to make shrines work, even if it's a bad idea. Season Hoblet, I think this thing's going to see standard play. I think a 3/1 that can get indestructible while pitching your lands is super strong. I think it's not quite as good as a Dante Vanguard in my opinion. I think the Human Synergy has some stuff there, Warrior has some stuff there, but I think this could be really good. I think the fact that he has 3 power on turn 3 to swing, and you can kind of trade up. I think that if you're getting rid of cards you may not be playing, there is something to be said there about like you're basically trading whatever you're blocking or whatever's blocking him with a card from your hand. You just need to make sure whatever you're trading is better, or you're trading up with it. I think that's gonna be a trick. People are gonna make him indestructible when they shouldn't, and always watch out for against red, make him indestructible, triggering it to discard a card, and then they shock, because you will just get like 2 for 1, and it's just always gonna be a bad time. Siege Striker, 3 drop for a 1/1 double striker. When he attacks, you can pump him. Cool to an empty board. Realistically, some of the token synergies in here are really interesting. He could be useful even without second line text. I prefer Fencing Ace 9 times out of 10, but I think that if you draft a lot of the token synergies, or if you have like a go wide state, go for it. I think it's totally reasonable. He can be really good, and there's ways to potentially give him some evasion. For instance, like say you have him, and we do the Gale Sweeper, give him flying. All of a sudden you have a burst of, and the Gale Sweeper can then tap to give at least 2/2. So worst case scenario from a turn 3 to turn 4, he's a turn 4 swing in for 4. Already having a fan of that. If assuming we have nothing else on the board, that's okay. That's a pretty nice damage swing. I'm on board. Another dog synergy. I picked this up almost pack 1 pick 1. a lot of the time, unless like my rare is really good. I think this is just a really strong card. A 1/1 for 1 that then can give something indestructible till end of turn. Strong. You might get a couple points of damage out of him, hopefully, and then all of a sudden he is now, your discarded card for Seasoned Hobblade. I think he really lets you trade up a lot, and your opponent has to think about him a lot. Secure the Scene. So I think this one is okay. It's your removal. It's just super expensive. If it was 4, I think I'd have a lot better of a time with it. But the fact that it's 5 mana, it makes it tough, and it gives, the controller a 1/1 White Soldier creature token. So I think that, yeah, sometimes this gets rid of your. I don't even know what to get rid of. There's nothing you'd ever get rid of your own stuff. But it gives him a blocker. So I think this is kind of low on the end of control for me. But if I'm light on control, or light on any kind of removal, I pick it up. Three of the Heavens. Yeah, I mean, you need to be at 27 life, but a 1-drop Vigilance Lifelinker that can start getting you there, and if you're playing the life gain synergy against a slower archetype, you may be able to get set up before they can do anything. So I guess he's okay. Again, I don't pick him first. I probably pick an uncommon or something over him for the most part. But if I am in life gain and I see this pack 2 or pack 3, I'll probably pick it up. Snotch Shieldmate, a 1/3 for 1. Why not, man? There's so many things, at least if you're against white, so many of the early things have 2 power. That he is going to be a awesome blocker for you for a while. Swift Response is the removal I pick up over most of the uncommons and rares probably in the first couple packs. This card seems really strong. 2 mana, instant tap creature means you can attack, Swift Response, and it's as swift as it sounds, and they're dead. Vern Wingmare, I think I like it quite a bit here if you're going for like that creature heavy kind of go wide. A 2/1 for 3 is okay, and then all of a sudden all the removal for it costs 1 more. So Shock costing 2, I'm okay with. It puts him behind. Generally, if they were able to double spell, you won't let them double spell. In best case scenario, some of these bigger enchantments and stuff that are really big and swingy in blue and in black, you all of a sudden are taking these spells and enchantments and you're like, no, it does not cost that much less. This is okay. If I'm in white or if I'm in white blue flyers, I probably pick this up pretty early on. Valorous Steed. 5 mana for 5 power in Vigilance is okay. If I'm in white, I'm happy to have it, especially if I'm going for the Basri. If I have like a Basri, I'm totally fine with this because like this is like 2 things. They have Vigilance, I can protect them after they attack, and I get my dudes. And I think they get really cool with the go wide strat. So if I'm going go wide, I pick it up. Timber Veteran, yeah. So one, if you have the counters, if you have anything that puts counters on them, you've drafted at this point, like this pack 2, maybe pack 3. Or if you've, like, maybe on pack 1, pick 2 or 3, and you know you're not getting past any, like, you can pass a lot of good white stuff, pick this up. This enables so much cool stuff. It's a 2-drop. It probably won't get in very often, but, like, anything that comes in with a counter, any of the Basri stuff you've picked up, any of the counter stuff you've picked up, this just kind of adding 1 or 2 counters to get breaks, board stalls. The 6-mana tap is also useful. I don't know about useful on its own, but, like, it's something I would consider taking early if there's nothing else good in the pack. It would push me towards white, I think. I think the counter is just going to be really good in white-green. Yeah, 3-drop 0/3 with Defender that gives all your attacking creatures +1/+0. This is something you pick as a payoff for your go-wide strat. So all of a sudden, all your Vigilance, like this 5-drop has 3 Toughness Defender blocking with the Basri, and all of a sudden becomes a 3/2 and a 4/3. Huge fan of like a mid pack 2, mid pack 3, or like end of pack 1. In blue, Baron. I'm sure that he's going to work out fine. He's still a 2/2 with upside, bounce a creature, like on 3. Like it sets him behind tempo-wise. He's really useful in draft, I think. And then maybe there's some stuff where you bounce permanents to your own hand to draw cards if you're trying to like look for something. I don't know. He's not constructed playable, I don't think at all. I might be wrong. I just don't see it. Cancel if you want to counter. Capture spell the top down stuff. There's not a ton of enchantment removal again that I've seen so far. Like we saw the 1 card in white so far. I think this is just really strong. It's essentially a kill spell, as long as they have an activated ability that needs them to just not tap at all. I take as many of these as I can. This card is going to be insane in draft. There was an older version of it that was like 1 more in sorcery speed, and people loved it back in Innistrad. I think this is totally playable. I think this is standard playable. I think this will basically overtake some cards if we were trying to run like Phoenix, potentially. I think this works really cool in Is It Phoenix, and any kind of self-mill will love this card. And Throwing Hold, kind of iffy. It's pseudo Capture Sphere, but I'm on board. It's 5 drop, you get a creature. Oh, look, I now have your Baneslayer. You don't get to attack with it even if it has haste because you have to tap a tap creature. So if your opponent's playing a lot of Vigilance or you see a lot of Vigilance going on the table, eh. But I'd be on board. This could push me towards blue a little bit earlier in the stage. This continuity, so I'm torn. Um, I think this is going to be standard. It's going to be actually insane. Like I think that Wilderness Wreck is going to abuse this so hard that it's going to get banned. Because it's basically going to be 6 mana Time Walk. Like upkeep, cool, boom, your turn's over. And I don't like that because especially considering it does not exile itself. So theoretically, in some variations of the deck, you could probably manage to get it back a couple times. And the fact that on your turn, it costs, so let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2. And it turns, in limited, what it'll probably be more useful as, unless you have 6 and you can like afford to do that, I'm on board. Leave 6 up for a turn after attacking, and then like before they can respond, time walk. This is like a pack one, pick one. The other thing you can do is, oh hey, I target removal. 2 mana end the turn on my turn. I think that that's just gonna be insane. It's basically a counter spell. You can, I don't know. You can even wait. You don't have to do it during your upkeep if you don't want to. You can wait until they cast a spell on the stack, then end the turn, exiling whatever's on the stack. I think it's really incredibly just strong. This card is super good. It's a little bit worse, better, different usage than like a Time Walk, but I'm in love with this card. Just Elder, if you're 100%, you draw enough spells. I think a 1/2 for 2 with Prowess that can draw a card, discard a card is really good. Looting effects are always pretty solid, getting rid of lands. This card is nuts, honestly. Get rid of lands, pay 2 to draw a card. This is super good in limited. This will also see play in standard in any kind of mono blue shell, I think, in the future. Such a fan. Artwork's cool too. Frost Breath, you know, it gives you like 2 attack steps with it at least, because you can do it like at the end of their turn or right before their attacks. You keep doing things tapped down, you swing, they're still tapped down, you swing. Cool. It gives you like 2 attacks with it. I'm on board. And it negates them from being able to attack twice. I think it's your pseudo removal in blue, and it really slows down the game for your opponent. And it is 2 target creatures, so that's really cool as well. Glide Master, yeah. 3 drop flying anything. This seems amazing. I picked this probably middle of the pack early on if I'm in blue, because this giving my Jeskai Elder or my Ghostly Pilfer flying and not having to make it work discard a card or anything like that, I'm a big fan. And it triggers with some of the flying synergies and stuff too. This is really cool too. I think this is also another like mid pack one if I'm already kind of in blue, or early pack 2, because it draws off the attack. It does not require you to wait until it does damage like the Jeskai Elder, and it's just draw a card. It's not even a loot. I think the 1 power is gonna scare people away, but I think realistically, it's a 3 drop gonna draw you a card. Maybe you give it flying, you can draw some more, like you see out the synergy right there, but most of it's gonna be a 3 drop kind of cantrip that maybe requires a block over something else. Yeah, Lofty no. I mean, it's cool. You're 2 mana, potentially counter swing on curve. If not, you've got flying. If I have flying, I'm probably picking this up pretty early on, if I know I'm going to be in that. If not, I'm kind of iffy on it unless I really need counters. Opt, cantrips and scries are good. This will be picked up pretty early. I think a 3 drop 2/2 flying prowess is really strong. You pick up things like Lofty Denial, Opt, Miscast, like these 1 drop kind of things, and even like Frantic Inventory and stuff. That prowess trigger is going to cast really quickly. As well as, don't forget, when you casting stuff like your Capture Sphere or Frost Breath, like you're getting that prowess trigger again and again. So I'm a big fan. Miscast is cool. Yeah, I mean, it's not quite Mana Leak. But I think this card is mid-tier draftable if you're in blue. There are a lot of strong instant sorceries, but don't forget, creatures are really one of the most important things to worry about in draft like this. Could see standard play. I think it's like technically a worse Mystical Dispute, so I don't know if it'll actually play until no, they rotate at the same time, so I don't know. Iffy. Could see stuff coming out for it though. Pursued Will is awesome. A 7 drop 8/8 I love, and then also a 1/1 red Parker Shogun that this creature can't block, and that also makes your opponent attack. So it opens up. So you leave that 1/1 alone, and you block their other creatures. So it leads you into a really cool block their next turn. So the best thing about this is this is a pack 1 pick 1, I'm sure, or at least you'd think about it. It's 7 drop. that makes your opponent swing into it and you get a favorable trade the next turn, or they're burning your removal. And most of the things that are going to target this that are not the enchantment stuff are going to cost almost on parity for their entire turn. So I like it. Theoretically, it's a really good pickup. Run of Revelations, yeah. I mean, you're drawing 2 for 1, like you're going even. You're basically drawing 2 for 2 cards on 4 mana instant speed. Um, I'd argue on board with Chemist's Insight in Ravnica Limited. Read the Tide, 6 mana sorcery speed. 2 creatures to understand or 3 cards. I like the modal ability on this one. I'd be okay to get this later on, but I probably would only run one. The 6 mana is just really steep, but we've seen a lot of these bounce creatures' abilities kind of just like tear open their opponents. Rewind is awesome. You don't want to be holding up 4 mana for a counter spell, but if you've got other things you can potentially play, it seems really cool. It also is really awesome on your turn to be able to rewind and then cast stuff if like they do something to one of your creatures during combat or before combat. So if you're in that kind of like red blue prowess deck, you go to combat, they try to answer a creature, you rewind, main phase 2, you can still cast stuff. I'm a big fan of it. Riddle form seems so iffy to me. I think a 2-drop that can become a 3/3, like prowess 3/3 is kind of cool, and has flying, so it's okay. I wouldn't be happy if I had to pick this up early, but I'd be okay with it. And then the Scry 1 on a stick is pretty cool. Having mana dumps is really important, and there's not a lot of mana dumps in this set, especially in blue that I've seen. Ghostlight, 5-drop for a 3/2, and you bounce a non-spirit creature in his hand. Seems iffy. Again, I'm not happy to get it. I'd rather if it had hexproof, I'd be a lot happier. But I mean, at the very least, like, boom, you had a 5-drop, I play a 5-drop, bounce your 5-drop, now I'm ahead in tempo. It's just a tempo card, which can win drafts. We see the Blue Shrine. Draw X cards and then discard a card. So at the very least, it's a 4-drop, draw a card, discard a card. So it's like a pseudo Howling Mine, draw 2, discard 1 every turn. I dig it. 4-drop isn't too bad. That's effectively going to keep you parity throughout the game. You should hit much better draws. I'd pick this up pretty early. I think this is one of the strongest shrines. I think that if you're going in a shrine deck, you're going to be very worried about playing this because you will mill yourself out 100% of the time. The fact you still can, it's still May, which is at least nice, but like you have to be very clear of how many cards are in your library when you're playing this card. Love Rising Reed. I think the fact it's a 3-drop, give flying, and then draw 2, discard a card. I love looting effects. I love buffs and flying. This is a looting with an evasion on it. This is probably a pretty early pick. Even if I get 2 for 1, hopefully it's still working. Ideally, as long as you can cast it, you're fine. You've made parity. You don't want to get blown out. So especially against red or some things with instant speed removal, you want to be careful when you cast it. You want to make sure that you're not getting blown out there. I also like this one too. Rookie Mistake. Effectively, it's like +4 toughness or something. The realistic what it's going to be used for is you have 2 creatures attacking you, 1 blocker. You're going to block and trade with the one you can and reduce the damage when you can't block effectively. And I think this card is really crazy. I also could see this working on the attack with prowess trigger attacks, where you want to debuff something that's going to trade favorably for them and buff something else that's going to trade you, or you may even do it to the same thing to really get a big trade, because it gives you a 4 toughness swing. It makes it really hard to kill something you've done that to. See the Truth. Yeah, I mean, it's basically just rare anticipation with the upside that you're really never going to see in this. So, I mean, that's fine. Cool. If I get it, I get it. Probably not picking it up early if I can help it. Shacklegeist is kind of cool. There's not a ton of spirits. I think this is more just like there's some spirits to make it at least worth it. If you're in black-blue, I believe. So you can potentially tap down to get stuff going. But at the very least, it's 2/2 flying for 2. A flying bear on 2 seems really good. Just being able to consistently get that in. Especially if you're in blue-white, you definitely want this to enable potentially your flying counter spell. Shrift Dowser, 5-drop, 3/3 prowess trigger, returns to your sorcery card. Yeah, all you need. It's a 3/3 for 5 that brings back one of your big cards. Could bring a rewind, could bring a Rain of Revelation. Like, this card is going to be pretty solid if you are in blue already. I think this is probably like, maybe if you drafted into blue with pack 1, pick 1, or if you are like pack 2, pack 3, and you're in blue and your rare's not working for you, I could see this being a really good pickup. Spine Megalodon's pretty cool. Hexproof and attack Scry 1. Yeah, I mean, if I have 7 for 7, this will end games in draft. You have to get there, obviously, and like you prefer to be in a place for it, but like this will end games. Absolute Storming Entity. So theoretically, this will cost. It's like you could see the truth, Storming Entity on 4. So you have a 3/3 for 4 plus this ability, and has Flying Prowess and Scries 2. Even if you don't get the reduced cost, still pretty cool. A 3/3 for 5 Flying that instantly Scries 2 gets you immediate value, and then also Prowess in the future turns that you can set up with. A big fan. Plus, the art is just gorgeous. So, my Epiphany, this card is going to blow you out like 9 times out of 10. If you see somebody drafting blue, you're going to want to watch out for this because they're going to counter your spell or an activate or trigger ability, maybe even both. Maybe they trigger like the spell plus the prowess trigger. They're going to bounce a card, get another creature, and draw a card. This card is just absolutely insane, and what I would usually tend to think of it as is think of it as a clone that has pay 2 mana counter a spell. Like, that already seems really strong. I think in draft it's going to be huge. I think we're even going to see some fun kind of deck ideas around it too. I would hope so. I think this deck is super fun. I love the artwork too. I believe that's supposed to be Tef's wife. I'm not 100% sure. Tef's protege, yeah, looting on a 2/3 for 3. I pick it up late if I pick it up late in the pack. Aegis Insights, iffy. I wouldn't pick this up like pack 1, pick 1, maybe even pack 2, pick 1, like over uncommons. But if it gets passed to me, like pick 3, pick 4, I'm pretty okay with it. I think that, like, I'm fine if I've got some card draw already lined up. If I know I'm in blue, maybe if I'm in blue-black. Because all of a sudden that turns Protege into draw 2, discard 1. That's okay. And also if I've drafted Teferi too, like, yeah. I think this card is... I don't actually think he's pack 1, pick 1 material. I think that there's a lot of things that can threaten him. That said, if there's, like, not a bomb uncommon or something, yeah, I'm 100% pick him. If nothing else, freezing would be cool. Super flavorful. I think he's going to be awesome in 4-player Brawl when it gets launched. I think 2-player Brawl is okay with 2. 4 mana, going instantly to 4 to draw a card, into potentially then getting to phase out a creature. Because you can wait for your opponent to attack before you do that, or you can end step, draw a card, discard a card, and you're at least generating value that way. You're getting to filter. So no matter what, usually before he dies, you'll get to filter out 2 cards, which 4 mana, draw 2, discard 2 isn't great. I also wouldn't hate, like, 4 mana, draw, discard, phase a creature for a turn isn't bad either in draft. Teferi's Tutelage. Yeah, I mean, you filter me, draw a card, and it also mills. Mill strategy won't be huge, but if you get this on turn 3, you can guarantee inevitability. Oh, cool. 10 turns have passed. I've played no other card draw spells. They're down to 3 cards in library. And that's not uncommon. Like, so they have 40 cards. Original 7. Let's say you go first. They draw 2 cards. They're down 9. You play this on turn 3. Boom. They draw 10. And then from then, let's assume 7 more turns. They're on 14, so 24. So yeah, they're on 24 already. It's turn 10. You've done no additional card drawing. And that's it. Like, you know that they're limited on turns at this point. That's when they haven't drawn any cards, played any kind of filter card, anything like that. I think that's just really strong. I think the inevitability of this is really cool, and the fact that it triggers itself immediately. So I'm sorry, they're at 26 at that point, because it does trigger itself immediately. And Mill's always great. Obviously, in the black, it can be weaker based on what they have in their hand. Tide Skimmer is pretty cool. I think if you have the flying archetype, you pick this up. It's card advantage with a flying body. 4-drop 2/3 flyer isn't anything to write home about, but it's also potentially can win games as well. Evasion's kind of like low. Tolarian Kraken. I think the 6-drop here is tough. Obviously, it works really well with a lot of the card draw that's in blue right now. So I think it's at least okay. But I think you gotta be careful with what it's got. But a 4/6 that can potentially draw a card for a turn, tapped on a blocker, and then play a draw 2, discard 2, or play draw 1, discard 1, and tap on another blocker can be really big. And this thing this also could potentially win games. It also could allow you to, with this Tef, like really just tap down a lot of stuff and keep things going and control it out. I think a 3/3 for 4 is iffy, but I think there's enough stuff that has card draw stuff on it. You could potentially make this work quite a bit. I think if you're in blue and have probably drafted at least 4 or 5 cards that draw cards already, I'm on board. I think it's really cool, especially considering it's 2 or more cards. So it's just you have to draw on 1 additional card. Unsubstantiate is, yeah, I don't know. So sometimes I'm kind of iffy about it, but I think that when it comes to some of the high mana spells, buys you a turn. And this could also just basically be a time walk. In standard, okay, whatever. But in, let's say they're about to play, there's no board wipes on the set, but like they're about to play Tef or the end of turn card or anything like that, unsubstantiated for a turn. You've now got basically a free turn. You don't have to worry about anything they do, or you bounce a creature that's a key blocker or a key attacker of theirs. Like, I think it's really strong. I think the card is really good and limited. I think just kind of getting that chance to know that they're probably not double spelling anyways can just be big. Alright, cool. Blue Mana Dork that taps for sorcery. 1/3 for 2. You're probably not playing it unless you absolutely have to and you need bodies. 2/5 for 4. Big butt could be important. I think you put this in. You pick this up late if you just get past it and it's in your colors. And then occasionally also I think if you are in like game 2 or game 3 and they're really aggressive and you need like an early blocker you know won't get blown out, you probably do the same thing with Wall Runes. I think a 1-drop 0/4 defender is to stall you to these big whales and krakens and stuff while getting you there and making your land drops. I actually like this though. 7-drop 7/7. Your opponent's creatures get -1/-0. Negates some of the power of the token strategies. And then I also like he has pseudo cycle. If you really get him early on to fix land draws or look for answers if you can't 7 mana, I think it's really cool. This card is modal, and I probably picked it up pretty early on if I know I'm in blue. Yeah, I like the fact that you have Death Touch or Lifelink. It works with Lifelink strategies. It works as a good chasing creature blocker. This is probably the best combo trick we've seen so far in this set. Okay, realistically, this is a 1/1 for 1 lifelinker that you may be able to get a creature card from a graveyard. I'll see how many there are in here, and it may get a 5/5 demon. Realistically, it's a 1/1 lifelinker that you're using to try to trigger the lifelink stuff. Bad deal. Yeah, I'm not picking this unless I have to for the most part. I think it's cool. Like, if it works, like we're both losing 2 life. I'm drawing 2, they're discarding 2, but like, I don't know. I think that 6 mana is a little late for that to come online. Blood Glutton, yeah, 5-drop 4/3 lifelink. The lifelink at 4 procs most of the stuff in here, so that's really cool. Cage Zombie. That's kind of cool, actually. A 2/3 for 3 that has a tap ability that makes him lose life. I like that, because you can even trigger it on your own stuff. So you take a block, you trade, boom, they lose 2 life. I think this card's a pretty early pick if I'm in black. It's not going to like get me 2 black, but it's at least cool. I think Carrying Glove is super interesting. I think that especially with some of the mill strategies coming in from blue, this could get really big really quickly. And you mill yourself 4 to kind of work with it, so it depends. But I like it. I think it. There's a lot of fun high-powered stuff that you can make that work and come out very quickly with. This might get me into black if I'm thinking about it. If I like need a second color, I think someone's picking it up, but not in pack 1. Hemlock Embrace. Oh yeah. Yes, I would be so on board to pick this up. 3/1 and flying for 3 mana that I can bring it back by paying through life and discarding a card. I'll discard a land card to put this on my late game bomb or on my Deathdoom Dial. Like all of a sudden, so like best case scenario, boom, Deathdoom Dial into Demonic Embrace, or if we have a 2-drop, I think 2-drop black yet or whatever. We'll just say we'll put it on like our Archfiend Vessel. Boom, 4 lifelink. I'm swinging on. I've already made up the life. There's a lot of lifelink in black right now. You'll be fine. You'll make it back pretty quick. Especially you just need to make sure to cast it the turn you're attacking with it. That's awesome. Double blocker, goes with token strategies, could work with black-white as well. This one's iffy, but at least it's maybe. Getting a chance to discard maybe a high-value creature card, or maybe you've drawn one of your 1-drops later in the game, getting to kind of filter that out, or even get rid of like a sap rolling to draw a card. Could be really strong. I think a 3/4 for 4 with the ability to cantrip is pretty cool, actually. Duress, always kind of iffy. In draft, but I mean, if you have it, you have it, and like sometimes it can really blow people out. You always want to side this in against blue and white right now, I think. Eliminate, yeah, I mean, it seems 3 or less. It's not super useful, but if I want a removal, I value this pretty highly in the pack. I think the 1/2 for 2 flyer that gets Death Touch is really cool. I think this is going to get you a good amount of damage throughout the game. So like, let's assume this gets you probably, unless you're playing into a flying deck, into like green and red. This is maybe even hitting for like 2 or 3 before it goes away. So it's 2 or 3, and then all of a sudden it's a 1 mana, I will kill your blocker. They have to remove it or deal with it or find some way to deal with it or trade at some point. And you can always kind of get a chance to trade up with this. I like it. This card is going to be so much removal bait. Gourmand is 6. Sack creature. Oh, that's cool. So he makes both players sacrifice. I actually like the flavor of this a lot. He's like a gourmand of eating people. Yeah, Flying Trample for 6 is pretty cool. There's a lot of cool cheap cards in black that you can kind of rid of there. I like it. I think it's going to be a really strong card, and it's good in the uncommon, so I could see myself even picking this fairly early on in the draft. Whenever it becomes blocked by a creature, cool, that's not bad. Yeah, I mean 7 for an 8/6. It's gonna be people are gonna be trying to chump it. There's no evasion for it. I'm on board. I also know that if I've drafted Demonic Embrace, I'm super on board getting this because I can potentially like play it on 7, bring back my Demonic Embrace and hit them for 11 is huge. Finishing Blow, yeah, I mean this is your main black removal 5 for instant speed, destroy card, create planeswalker. Really high costed. I'd like to have been one cheaper, but like you're in draft, you'll take these. Yeah, double black -4/-4. If you know you're in black, you'll take this, especially if you're not splashing. This is what it's trying to get you to use. It doesn't just splash. Like I think the Myers Grasp, I think is the other one that does it. I think it's -3 for 1 black and 1. But the 4 is super relevant actually. Grim Tutor. So realistically in draft, I probably don't windmill slam this pick one, unless you're trying to build collection, in which case you're gonna want like 2 or 3 of these. You're gonna see these in decks. At the worst case, you want one for like Brawl, Commander. Like this card, I think is gonna have some value stapled to it. Between Pioneer, Modern, like tutors are good. Tutors are generally pretty high priced. They're good, and a 3-drop tutor that puts any card is okay. The 3 life is pretty negligible. So if you're looking for value, you probably wouldn't must slam this. Hooded Blightfane. Ooh. Okay, I like the Death Touch thing. There's not a crazy amount of things with Death Touch, but like you could theoretically get the Fetid Imp that, and you could then swing for 2 versus the 1, which I like. I haven't seen other really Death Touchy things yet, but we'll keep it in mind. And then also I like the fact that the idea of like that can get Death Touch and kill Planeswalker. Like I like that. I think it's super flavorful. A 1/4 for 3 that procs on itself. So effectively acts as a 2/4. So just when the life gain stuff. I'm a big fan. I think this card would get me into black potentially. A 1/4 for 3 Death Touch that can swing in for 2 or something first. Super cool. And then has to be blocked for going for a Planeswalker. It's just really awesome. Kite's Riveter, if I'm in black, I'm windmill slamming this as soon as I see it. It may even get me to go black. I think this card is super strong. There's not a ton of removal for it. And it does live through Karabek, which is my next point. So just a big fan. I think Karabek is cool. Karabek is iffy. Like I don't know if I'd want to draft him. A 3/2 for 4 that debuffs my opponent's stuff can be cool. Could kill a few things. Not unless it has 1 toughness in the set to compensate for it though. But at least it doesn't hurt him. But the 2 toughness really does. I think if he had 3 toughness, I'd be a lot more on board. But he's okay. I think he'll find a home somewhere. I like this. It's 2-drop. If you find a free moment to plan on something, it won't make it live longer. But maybe make your yourself Freebirder hit for 3, and you know they're going to target to kill it. You can cantrip off of it, which means you still net lose 1 card. But I mean, I like it. I think it's pretty cool. It's a unique style of enchantment play. Yeah, this one is kind of iffy. I think that the -3 is cool. It's removal. Her plus is awesome. They're discarding, each player discards a card, including you. And then if they can't, they lose life, which is really nice if they're trying to get to 7. And draft, that seems pretty relevant. And then if you were hellbent, it doesn't hurt you. And I at least like the fact that it doesn't exile the card too. So her ult could be really relevant. I probably do windmill slam this actually. I probably try to play her as quick as I can on turn 4 and really build out what I can. Lily Sensitivity, okay. There's not a lot of zombies. She doesn't either make them zombies either, but at least take it. And he can also trade out those zombies. So that zombie can attack. If it trades, pay 2, boom, new zombie token. So he's just really good on his own. Because he swings in with a 3/2 zombie each time. And they basically have to block take 3. And you're like, cool, they don't. Awesome. They do zombie number 2. And you can actually trade up that way. I love this card. 3-drop for a 3/1 flash that lets you draw cards. So you go through a really tough trade that they might not have taken if you had this in play. Like you can bring this in. It's a grown blocker for 3. It can cantrip you after you get removed. I think it's just a really strong card. I picked this probably pretty early on in pack 1 or I'd probably taken pack 2 or pack 3 if I'm in black. Steward, it's okay. It's a 1-drop to discard a card. It's okay. It's something great. I think card discard is okay in draft sometimes. It can really make them forget what they're doing, but only if you draft quite a bit of it. Like, say you have like 6 of these dudes, okay, maybe, because you're getting like, you get like 1 or 2, 3 of them out by turn 2. I could see it. I do like the fact that this is equip 1. So it's a 2-drop, so it's 3 mana for a 1/1 that keeps getting bigger as the game goes on, and there's not a lot of artifact removal yet. And it equips for 1, so I like it quite a bit. Um, I'm just a fan. I think this card's a pretty early pick for me. Flash for a 2/1 could be cool. Could come out at the end of their turn 2, then swing in for 3. It's iffy. I'm bored for it. It's just not crazy good. Masquerade, I will must on this. The Minus Toughness is really big. This with Karavet could be really cool too. It gets rid of like almost everything that isn't like a big boy, and it can really like mess with them. This will be what hoses some of the white green go wide decks. Mind Rot, okay. No, it's Mind Rot. We see it every time. Necromantia. Oh, it's okay. Unfortunately, it's a target opponent, but you sideboard this in probably for game 2, game 3. After you see something in there that you really can't deal with, like again, their Baneslayer, their Planeswalker, like if they're playing mill, you get rid of their mill cards. Like maybe you get rid of a common that's like they've got like 5 or 6 of or something. I don't know. Whereas again's cool. 5-drop recursion, always nice if you've got big creatures. If you don't, it's kind of iffy. But if you can bring back like a Massacre Worm, I dig it. Pestilent Haze is like one of the only board wipes per se, and it's basically 3-drop Massacre Worm. But it's all creatures subject opponents. Or you can remove 2 Electarians from Planeswalker, so you can kill a Bazz without him swinging into it, that kind of stuff. Peer into the Abyss is awesome. Just because, like, you can, if you're dead in hand, you really need to make stuff happen next turn, but you've got a good amount of life, but, like, they're getting advantage on you. You can eat a turn to potentially draw stuff. I think this is more likely going to be like a combo of some kind, or you may be using your opponent to make them lose half their life before you swing, will be the more likely scenario. You're like, they're tapped out, they can't do anything with it, boom, lose half their life, and then lose out of nowhere. Black Sanctum is the 2-drop, and I like it. I think if you can get this on turn 2, it's insane by itself. I probably windmill slam this. I think the fact that they lose a life, you gain a life. Big fan. And I also think that if you get any other ones, it just gets better. But I think just like a 2-drop, lose 1, gain 1, is already very strong. Singing Indulgence is okay. Return to creature in your hand, I like looking forward to it. And then I kind of like this one. This comes back here and stuff whenever you gain life. If you're thinking about going life gain, like you probably should pick this up like immediately, because you can just sacrifice to draw cards. You've gained enough life, it'll come back. This is like your engine in the life gain deck if you're playing mono black. But this and the Griffin Outpost is pretty cool. They mill 2 cards. It's okay. It's not great, but it's potentially a flash Death Toucher. Is really probably what it is. Or it's an early, maybe try to swing in for like 2-3 points of damage every now and then. Tavern Swindler's reprint. Love the art. Don't think it's going to do much. Maybe you play it in the life gain deck if you have it, but it's super risky. Scout Nurture, Yeah, I mean, 1-drop sack creature in speed. This is really strong. If you're in black, you pick this up pretty early on if you know you're going to be in black. Veto Thorn. Yeah, and this is your other payoff for the life gain deck. Like, you get this pack 1, you are in life gain, baby. Because, like, worst case scenario, you don't draft a lot of the life gain. You draft, like, he is your life gain payoff, and he himself then gives other stuff lifelink. Like, he can just win you the game there. Because it's not a trigger. Because life gain isn't a trigger. It just happens. I can't respond to it. Walking Corpse 2 for 2, and you grab it if you're in black if you need it. Witch's Cauldron, I'm iffy about it. It does let you gain 1 life. So it gets you close to some of the life gain payoffs of like you need to draw 3 or more. So it's like close, and it lets you draw. So you potentially can also do like another thing with the Ghoul. Close. We're a little over halfway. Battlerite Shaman. I think a 4-drop 2/2 that can give something 2+2 is kind of iffy, but if you're in there, you draft it. Bolt Hound seems okay. A 2/2 for 3 that buffs other stuff seems really good. Bone Pit Brute Menace seems nice on a 4/5, and he gives something else +4/+0. So this is kind of near, I think, green-red Trampoly Boys. I don't think we see this Chandra, do we? Let's see. Discard your hand, then exile the top 3 cards of your library until the plus. Okay, that's pretty cool. So she's good if you're like running on close to Hellbent anyways. Can also double plus do damage to any target. I like it. So she's 5 mana shock or like draw. Um, Unfortunately, is only exile, so like you have to play them that turn, which really sucks. But like it happens. Burn Bright's okay. It's your go wide if you're going red white probably, which you probably won't draft. I don't know if there's a lot of red white stuff, but maybe you run this if you're playing like the Naya dogs. Love this card. This card is insane. The fact it fights another target creature is huge. Because it does not have to be an opponent's creature. So you have a big ol' fat boy who keeps getting chump blocked. Well, every turn their end step, boom, 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 boom. Like this card is insane. This is a pack one pick one for sure, I think. Incinerator seems kind of eh. I think there's some ways to make this good in standard, but I think you are mostly drafting it for a 6/6 trampler for 6. Maybe you get it cheaper, but like realistically, it has to be non-common image. So you're not sure. Like maybe you're doing like Magmut or something like that. Magmut's cool. It's a pinger. Pingers are always good or bad based on the rest of your deck. I think if you have things that are like a lot of 2 power, you want this. I think it goes with the dog. It's dog synergy as well. So it's a 2/2 bear, plays out in curve with dogs. Pyreling's awesome. The double strike is cool. Magmut and Pyreling work really well together because you're all of a sudden hitting for ping him for 1 in the face. 2, 4. So that's 5 damage right there in a 2-card combo on turn 3. Well, I guess turn 4 because you probably aren't playing them both. Community Cube is okay. There's not a lot of Goblin cards, really. I mean, there's the Brash Taunter, which could be interesting there, but like he's probably just being played for a 2/2. Maybe if you have more Goblins. Picking this up probably pack 2, pack 3. If I need like red. I mean, like really heavily invested in red or Goblins. Purely just because I can't really do anything with them outside I cast them. Trample's cool. This is what you want for red-blue prowess. The Trample cantrips itself, it's just good. This was played in red-blue prowess type decks before now. It'll get played after. One of the few artifact removals, or creatures flying can't block up to this turn, which could be good too. This is probably what you put in your sideboard for game 2, game 3 against artifact decks, or also flying decks, because this way you just get a free turn of immunity to them. Reese Rise, this is your green-red payoff card. Lets you basically get an extra card draw. For Anticipation, I'm pretty sure you should never try to draft this card unless you're already like in pack 2, pack 3 in red, and you're in red already. You don't need red, but like you need triple red's tough if you can't splash it. This card will trick people up. Like they're gonna be stuck in hand with 3, just like the ultimatums were. But man, this card has some flavor. I'm super hype. I really want to play it. I don't know a lot of ways to cheat out enchantments, but I will be looking for some because it seems hella fun. Double Vision, yeah, an enchantment that copies your first instant or sorcery each turn is huge. It won't double trigger the prowess, but like, dude, like crash through, boom, 1 mana draw 2. If you're blue, you're drawing oodles. Like this card is super cool, and it does put you towards a spell slinger playstyle. So maybe not pack 1, pick 1, but like if I've already playing some spells, maybe I'm in red, maybe I'm in red-blue, maybe I'm like splashing red for it, I could see it happen. Depends what kind of value I'm getting out of the spells I'm doubling. I'd have to go through what I have on my list. Fear the Bitten, yeah, +2/+2 for 1, it's okay. Rather than Homebound, I picked this pretty late, but like this is something you do if you have like a 1-drop that all of a sudden is now a 3/3 swinging in, because it's going to take them probably like 2 or 3 turns to really answer a 3/3 on turn 2. You might be able to get in 6, 9, maybe in 12 damage, or you're clearing out board. Gadrak's awesome. So it doesn't matter about that. I would draft him, if nothing else, for a 5/4 3-drop flying blocker. You windmill slam this guy. If maybe if you're not in red, pack 3, and like there's something else that you really need. Maybe in pack 2 you don't, but like doesn't matter. Your stuff attacks, or you burn something. Boom, you get a treasure token. Eventually, he's going to get a chance to attack. And there are other effects, but like realistically, I'm on board for a 3-drop 5/4 flying blocker. I'll take a 3-drop 5/4 flying wall that may get to attack at some point. It's very similar to the blue Golem, Vantress Gargoyle. I think that card is really, really cool. Awesome, yeah, this card's okay. Nothing crazy. But it's our fiend. It can trade up occasionally. Most things here are 3 toughness though. It is one of the few things that is a 1 toughness though in the set, so be careful. There are not other things 1 toughness that it won't die to. Fun fact: Brash Hunter gets Blitter to Big Gadovik, so be careful when you're playing that. Goblin Wizardry. I actually like the fact that the goblins are wizards and have prowess. I think there's some really fun flavor there, and it will really be really cool with some wizard decks since they have prowess, or goblin decks that have prowess. This card you pick 100% if you're red, blue prowess. I think 4 for 2 things that have prowess can really get out of hand. And so, like for instance, these with Crush Through. Oh, cool! 2/2/2 tramplers that then can get bigger, can be just really big. Havoc Jester. You're not sacking a lot of permanents, but a 5/5 for 5 can be okay. If you need a big creature, if you need any kind of creature, you probably pick them up. Hellfire Emulator, a 2/2 for 2 prowess, and deals damage with power to target creature, Planeswalker. Yes. So this is where you can sometimes hit a Planeswalker for 2, boom, sack him for 2, you've killed that Planeswalker, boom. Or 3, you know, like it's pretty cheap. Or you hit him for 2 in the face, sacked, killed Planeswalker as well, so they can't do something with him. It's just like a really interesting kind of value card to it. And it can get bigger, or you can, depending on your block, you can kind of mess stuff there too. I think this card is really strong. Card's okay. A 2/1/2 dog, has dog synergies, and has a mana sink, so it's one of a few mana sinks in red. Okay, Punisher, it's a little bit worse Shivan Dragon. The 7 mana is really important that it has. Again, if I need a red creature, I'm not trying to splash, or I don't have any kind of big creature or any kind of way to win the game, I probably pick this up. Hobble Fiend, trample for a 2/1, sacking the creature, put a 1 counter. This is some of your payoff for the 5/4 dragon, is you can get this sack creatures to guarantee the treasure tokens, and this gets bigger with trample. So this could be something you do with kind of like black-red or green-red probably, because you have the trample. You could also do like white-red, kind of buffing it too with 1/1 counters. I guess that working as well. Yeah, 5-drop 3, probably would never draft this unless I have to. I might even see play. 3-drop 4/2. A lot of things have 2 tack in this, so probably don't draft this, but it could be big. Again, like if I would give this, like if I'm in the blue-red in this, I might give this thing flying with that card, or I give it first strike with dub. Like there's ways to make this good. 4 tack is good, but still not great. Kinetic Augur is really awesome. Actually, Trample is super interesting, and then the instant sorceries are its power. So it's essentially, it trades in the flying from the 2-colored Drakes, Cackling and Enigma, and gets its own mono red Drake with Trample, which I love. Also, you can immediately pitch to draw 2. So no matter what, you can, if you need it, you can play it on 4, drop 2 instant sorceries, or drop a land in instant sorcery, and boom, you've got like a 1/4 Trampler that can just keep getting bigger throughout the game. Big fan. I think this card's really cool, and I could see some fun red synergies with it. Same as Shattered Heights. Probably your iffiest Sanctum, I think, just because it's creature or planeswalker. But at the very least, I think that having this, if you're in Shrines, you draft it, purely because you can just like pitch 1 land, maybe D2, burn something when you're drawing a bunch of cards with the blue one. So if you're in blue-red and you draft the Shrines, this could be pretty good. So Dragonfire, Shock, amazing removal. Pick these up pretty much anytime you know you're in red, even if you're splashing. Spellguards are weird. Pretty cool. Works in counters, so it could be work in your white-red counter strategies. Could also work in blue-red. It's okay in black-red and in green-red as well if you have a lot of spells. Even if you have a few spells, it could be okay. Soulstier's okay. Yeah, it's more removal. 5 damage, lose indestructible. This is one of your ways to get rid of Brush Hunter as well in the set. Instant. I think it's like one of the few ways red. It's the only way red has to do it. Subira, Tulsi, Caravaner. 3-drop 2/3 haste is pretty cool. Unfortunately, she can't make herself unblockable, but she can make another thing unblockable, which is really nice. And then can potentially also let you draw cards, refill your hand. There's a lot of just fun stuff you can kind of put here. So for instance, you could make Spellguards Weirder a 2/2 unblockable, and then all of a sudden, it gets bigger after you shock or Scorching Dragonfire or some stuff. It just depends. There's ways to do it. Unfortunately, if you did that, you can't do the second one. It's just like a whole tricky thing. But she's cool. I think she's really fun to draft, and there's like a cool archetype around there. Sure Strike, really cool if you're going for the creature-based strategies. First Strike can blow people out. Tear the Peaks, amazing. Windmill Slam this card 9 times out of 10. Worst case scenario, he's a 5-drop. Your opponent has to pay 3 life to kill, and a card. I'll take that almost any day of the week. Best case scenario, he doesn't die for a turn. You play like I don't know, any other cards, and you get immediate value and removal. This card is insane. This card will win games. Throw possibility, super cool. You're playing this kind of blue-white. It refilters your hand, gets your lands. We said a lot. Turn to slag. There's not a lot of equipment, and it's 5 drop 5 damage, so it's probably my least favorite removal in the set. Transmogrify. It's pseudo removal. It's specifically a creature, but generally, like you could do this to their terror or their stuffy doll thing, like the brash goblin, and like you're getting something that's probably less valuable to them. You're using this on purely to get rid of like what we consider to be a win con, like Baneslayer Angel, etc. Trader's Greed, awesome. Yep, this is effectively 2 mana if you're gonna cast something else after it. This is exactly what the Prowess decks want. Ideally, Prowess is so on board for this. Turret Ogre has reach and can do 2 damage to each opponent, so that's pretty cool. This is a green red payoff, a mono red payoff, and has reach, so it's one of your answers to white blue. Unleash Viewer. This card is meh. I'd rather double strike like anytime really, but it can still win. I picked this up pretty late, I'm pretty sure. And then what can you guys do? This is your fireball. I'm super on board. This is gonna close out games for you. Volcanic Salvo. Oh man. This is tough because like this is like something you want later in the game, and this is just gonna be a removal. But I probably wouldn't pick this unless I'm already in red or green. Azusa, not a Windmill Slam, but unless you want one for Brawl, she's gonna be amazing in Brawl. I think this card is gonna be like absolutely nutty in Brawl, even just in the 60, in the 59, which I like. I like Azusa a lot. Brawl Fist Oak's a 2/3. This is really cool because like no matter what, so during your turn, this is a 4/5. 4/5 for 4. Cool. That can then get bigger if you're in like blue green. Big fan. This card can like really get out of control. Canopy Stalker is okay. It will generally trade with 1, if not 2. So if you say you trade with 2, you gain 2 life, and you got rid of a blocker. Awesome. Colossal Dreadmaw, 6/6 Trampler for 6 seems bad at first glance, but this just wins games for green. It's really hard to answer for a lot of decks, and the Trample just gets through a lot of the smaller blockers that the colors have. Cultivate's awesome. More just really cool removal, or really cool acceleration, and it lets you fix as well if you're going 2 or 3 colors. Love this. A 2-drop 3/3 that can lose its defender if you have creature 4 or greater. Awesome. You can also buff it with anything else to get its power buff 4 or greater, though. For your 7 path, pretty cool. This is for looking up your main win con. If you've drafted a creature that's already CMC 6 or higher, you're going for it. Unfortunately, Elder Gargoth is one of the... You windmill slam this thing. And unfortunately, it is 5 mana, which is really good, honestly. Like, I'd rather be 5. This thing's insane. Because on attack or block trigger, it doesn't even have to do damage. You're probably going to create the Beast token or draw a card 9 times out of 10. You might gain 3 life if you're behind. Feline Sovereign is awesome. The protection from dogs is more relevant than you'd think. Because the unfortunate part is it does not give itself the protection from dogs. It's less good than you might think. That said, it is also the main way to destroy enchantments and artifacts. So I think that's pretty cool. Just giving the Lord and potentially the protection from dogs can be relevant at times. So just watch out for that. I think people are going to miss it quite a bit. Fulgur Birth is okay. It's iffy. It's instant speed, so you can at least like do it as a blocker. You can bring that thing back to your hand and then create 2 Sap Rollings to kind of have blockers next turn. Garruk is kind of interesting. Gives trample, so like in one hand, like that's gonna be probably a windmill slam in that pick. Like it's gonna move you to green. On the other hand, the -2 being -1 means always behind at the very least. You have 2 creatures to 1. It's only a -1 to get the beast, which is pretty cool. Obviously, of course, the -7 is pretty backbreaking, so if you can get to it, you get to it. Like getting to just plus him and get the trample and like really put the pressure on is really nice. Garruk Scorehorn, a 5-drop 7/3, awesome. I would love to play this and then Garruk and hit for 10 trample. Like it's just nice. Gnarled Sage is awesome too. The fact he gets Vigilance as well. If you've drawn 2 more cards, if you've drawn 1 additional card, he kind of fits that green-blue kind of like draw cards thing, and is still a really good beater. Worst case scenario, a 5-drop 4/4 reach is also green's main answer to blue-white right now. Garruk's Uprising is pretty nice. It's a 3-drop that can cantrip if you have a creature power 4 or greater at the time, which you potentially can with Harbinger. It isn't uncommon. It gives all of your creatures trample, which means all of these, like the 7/3. We look over here. This 3/3 potentially. Like all these things. This Brawl Fist Ogre, or Oak, sorry. It gives trample, which is huge. And then also, when you play with Card Figure, you get to draw a card. This card will probably see Standard Play sometime, and we'll also probably see Brawl, and it won't replace Temur Ascendancy, but it's pretty cool. I think it'll be really good, though. Garrick's Harbinger is also awesome. Hexproof in black is really good. There's not a lot of removal in black, so you really just have to worry about white and some of the red ones. But I love it. Getting to like do damage to creature or planeswalker and tutor for Garruk potentially is really fun. Or a creature card. Heroic Intervention is going to be insane. Indestructible is just, again, still going to be insane. You probably pick this up. It might move you towards green. I would probably pick this up pack 2, pack 3, pick 1. Maybe even like pick 2, pick 3 if I have like a good, like, pick a Garruk or Elder Gargoth or something important there. Hunter's Edge is awesome. 4-drop. It's expensive for a fight, but the counter can be useful if you're in that white-green. It also is still removal, so like I'll take subpar removal in draft pretty much any of the week. Same thing, Invigorating Surge, 3 mana. No matter what, it's 3 mana 2 counters. Not bad. It will get yourself above 4 power pretty easily if that's what you're going for. It can trigger a lot of the white stuff, and maybe you have another counter on there. It can just kind of like lead you over the edge. Llanowar Visionary, pretty cool. It's Elvish Visionary and Llanowar Elves, so it's okay. I think it's mediocre because you don't really need that much ramp, but I'm probably still picking it up over a lot of other commons. Life Goes On. If you're for some reason in like a black-green deck, which you could be, this is a life gain payoff. No matter what, it's 1-drop, instant, gain 4 life. It helps you if you're in green-white or if you're in black-green. It also just helps you in general. This is probably mid-tier pickup if I know I'm going to go any kind of life gain. Jorello is pretty awesome. I think that just having the option here for second card for each turn, you get a 2/2 cat. I think that's really cool. Blue has a really unique flavor to it. It could also work with red, green as well as some of the secondary cards you have in there. She herself is a 2-drop 1/2, which is not bad. And honestly, why not? Move the base power toughness of stuff for 6 mana. You won't often have a ton of cards in your hand. But like if you have a bunch of like 1/1s, 1/2s, 2/2s, 3 cards in your hand, that's a pretty big swing. She's gonna be more useful, I think, for potentially blue green for the passive, or she'll go in white green for the effect. Ornery Dinosaur, 4-drop 2/2 Death Toucher. This is also really cool for you for going that green black, and then also works for if you have the green red, and it'll become a 4/4 Death Toucher, which is kind of nice. It's iffy. I picked this up pretty late if I need it. Portcullis Vine, 1-drop 0/3, blocks a lot of the stuff for probably the first 3 to 4 turns of the game, and you can always sack it to draw a card later on in the game. Our cat synergies begin here with a 1 counter target creature control, which is perfect for the mono green, green white, green blue, all this kind of stuff, and it gives a trample, which is perfect for this kind of early game stuff. So getting a chance to drop anything and then putting that counter on it, giving a trample, and swinging right away is super cool. Promite, I'm picking this up. It probably won't make standard play, but this is going to be super awesome if you have any kind of trampler in draft, because all of a sudden you now buff them. Main phase 1, if their opponent's tapped out, you fight their biggest blocker, and you swing. Big fan. Of course, if you know you're splashing green, or your green is your secondary color, Kyrian Dryad can really just pop up, I think really big. I've seen this card just really pop off in drafts, and it can get to, the counters are not irrelevant when it comes to green-white as well. Ranged Guile, Hexproof is really cool. It is your main answer. I'd pretty much put this into anything to kind of counter. There's a lot of single target removal. There's very few AoE removal. That isn't like -1/-1 or -2/-2. And this getting around most of that is pretty great with the +1/+1 as well. Sabertooth Mauler. Yeah, so pseudo vigilance and 1 counter. So it's really cool in kind of the red-green. It works with the green-black if things died, with the green-red if things died. And it gets to 4/4 as soon as 1 thing's died, which, big fan. And again, pseudo vigilance is pretty cool too. Run afoul, sideboard if your opponent has flying. Return to Nature, probably mainboard. I think there's enough stuff in these and enough things that bring things back in the graveyard you might want to use this. I think it's at least one of could be mainboardable. The green one, adding 1 mana, so effectively a 3-drop other Llanowar Elf. Yeah, I think this is probably as good as that Llanowar Visionary, purely because you can fix your mana as well. Even if it's just itself, it always has 1. It's not instant speed, but look, it's still pretty good. Scavenging Ooze, probably pack 1, pick 1. I think this card is insane. The life gain is really cool for the life gain synergies. If you go black-green that way, it exiles your opponent's graveyards for anything on their synergy, as well as it gets bigger. So it affects both the token synergies in green-white, and it affects the 4 greater synergies in green-red. All of a sudden, you've got everything you want in everything, except maybe like the green-blue draw cards thing, but like it's still pretty good. Like you can go anywhere with this and like be pretty happy. Assessing Training gives trample, a buff, and cantrips. Everything you can ask for in enchantment right now. Like we've got like one cantripping or pseudo cantripping enchantment in each color. Big fan. Next we go to Spider Weaver. I think the reach and hex from blue is important. A lot of the bounce cards are there. It can't be like returned or bouncing kind of ways. If it hits the battlefield, you're pretty confident against blue it's gonna stay. A 1/4 reach is pretty important, and it gets a chance to block and create ones saprolings, which is pretty cool. Snare Spinner is pretty good too. I think a 2-drop 1/3 seems pretty iffy, but I think there's going to be a lot of flying in this set between white, blue, and some of the black stuff as well. I think it's just super important to have options against it if you are in green. So if you know you're not going to have a lot of flying options, you have a lot of removal from your red side, maybe you're like black-green, you probably pick up a couple of these just so you have easy, big creatures that can eat their flyers. Another reach creature, awesome. That's okay. Yeah, it's a mana sink. This is our first mana sink we've seen in green. Besides Scavenging Ooze. Big fan. You keep this, because this is like cool. You can start pinging down 1 or 2 things. Maybe you make your Snare Spinner or your Spore Weaver more threatening. Maybe make him more threatening. Like all of a sudden he's doing 2, maybe 3 damage or something. It makes him not want to swing, and you can store out so you can get to your bigger guys. Bronodon, amazing. 3/4/3 body. Already super cool, and can remove swing in a problem target of artifact or enchantment. I like it. Probably pick this up pretty early on if I'm a green. It could even be a pack 1 pick 1 if there's nothing else really bomb in the pack. Titanic Growth, really strong card. I think the card is pretty good. I think the +4/+4 is really important to what you're doing, and as well with a lot of trample you have in here. I like it. Track Down, Scry 3. So it's pseudo anticipate in green. If you're not in blue, even if you're on blue, take it. It also draws, so it triggers all your draw effects. Maybe in mono green, maybe in green blue. Big fan. I think this card is going to be slept on. Plus the art is pretty cool. Truffle Snout, so cute. Honestly, Truffle Snout Boar is really awesome. 1/1 counter on him is pretty nice. So he's a 3-drop 3/3, or he's a 2-drop gain 4 life. So if you're in white green, you can use your life gain payoff or your token payoff. You're in Elias is a 3/3 for 3, or you can use him in like white black. You can get the life gain payoff. I think this card's really versatile, and if you're in one of those 2 colors, you're probably going for it anyways. Or the Woods is a 6-drop Vigilance 5/7. And if your opponent tries to remove them, you draw 2 cards. And it's an ability too, so I like it. I think this card is super nice. I probably also picked this pretty early on too. This could force me into green, because that's just a really strong effect to have. Is your Hydra. It works for the token synergies for green-white. It's something crazy. I think I'm okay about it. Just having like a modal creature, whatever curve I need it to be at, can be really strong. And be able to 5 mana get a 4/4 that control my 4 abilities and get trample. I'm on board. Hound Master. So we want potentially our 2. We only really want to draft this, I think. I think never mind. You can draft this regardless. If you drafted the 2, you're happy, because you can grab 2 cards for it, and effectively it's like a 2-drop 2/2. The other cards are kind of iffy, but I think that by himself alone, he still gets the bonus of other attacking creatures attacking. So like you attack with him and a couple tokens, he's like a 3 or 4 power. I think that's really strong. Conclave Mentor is one of the reasons we want to draft into token strategies. You get 1 more token, so boom, all of a sudden the last card we looked at here, Trophy Snob becomes a 4/4 for 3. That's pretty cool. And then you also can Life's Power, so if you put counters on it as well, awesome. You can gain more life, and that's just a really solid card, I think. It's going to be like really good removal targets, and can win you the game. Direfleet Warmonger. Yeah, second creature gets +1 trample, so he's a 5/5. Then he procs your 4 power greater stuff. He procs your black sacrifice effects. If something died, he procs your red if something died effects. So he becomes like a 5/5 trampler, so it's not bad. Ideally, you do some fun stuff with him, and they can make it work. Overload is super interesting. It's super built on the prowess triggers. If you have a lot of instant sorceries, you make a big weird, which can be really nice, I think, honestly. And then you exile it, which sucks. You can't like make multiple. But I think that 4-drop, and if you manage to like late game make a 4/4 or a 6/6, like in draft, that could really just kind of power through the game, especially in those colors. Especially if you can manage to give it flying or something. Here is another one of our life gain triggers in white black. It's only 1 power, which really sucks. There's not a lot of like actually lifelink. If you gain 3 more life turn, they lose 3 life. Cool. I'm on board. Leafkin Avenger. I'm iffy how I feel about this card, but I at least like the fact that it's a 4-drop that can tap for oodles of mana, and it's the Omnath Leafkin basically. Worst case scenario, it can at least pay 8 later on in the game, do 4 damage or something. Like that's without sacrificing itself. So I think it's at least cool that has the option for that. Lower skill Codal, super awesome. Works from the counter synergies you already have in green. You can potentially go Bant, and itself also will just keep getting bigger naturally over the game. You don't have to do anything extra. This card is also something I would potentially pick up pack 1, pick 1, because it's going to start getting out of control with that removal. Against like red green, if they don't have like a fight mechanic or a burn mechanic really early on, this can just like really get out of control very early on, especially once you're getting trample enablers on board. Yambi's awesome. I think the flash is really cool. I think it's by CMC. Yeah, it's by CMC. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. You're not really gonna see too much of it. I think you're gonna see the flash bounce a creature back to your hand to gain life, and like save it from kill spell. This will be, if you're playing in those colors, it's just gonna be your pseudo anti-removal, your hexproof per se. I think that this card is really interesting from the fact that like Stitcher is a 0/3 for 3. It lets you filter. So this will let you trigger all your blue card draw things. You could be running kind of Sultai for like Lurcio Codal, all that kind of stuff. And it can bring a creature card bigger later in the game. Maybe even next turn if you hit your land drops obsessively. Rada, I'm so ready for this card. I really want to play this card later on. I think it's really cool. The first strike's nice for a 3/3. You can play lands from the top of your library. I think this could potentially be a pack 1, pick 1. I wish she was a 4/3. Honestly, I'd even take a 4/2 with the first strike effects, just so it would make all that stuff work. And then she can, theoretically, with 6 mana, you're pumping her up to like a 9/9. Awesome. 9/9 first strike is awesome. Hopefully, you're getting the trample effects. Signature Balls are a big shrine, and it triggers twice. Oh. Well, it tutors each upkeep for a shrine. So like if you pick this pack 1, maybe like anybody who picks pack 1 is probably gonna try the shrine thing. You just know it. Like you just know it. And one person's gonna make it work, and it's gonna blow you out. Twin Assassins, no death touch, but it's your green. This could be like Jund kind of payoff with things dying. This is your your Golgari payoff of things dying. You draw cards. Watch for this, guys. Honestly, pretty good. This could get me to go into blue-white flying pretty easily. It makes him cheaper to cast. And he gets a small buff whenever he does. Ugin, Windmill Slam this. There's like 5. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards that he does not exile. And also, very few things are more than 7 mana. Like, he is your board wipe. He is gross. Also, the +2 is really cool. So why not? Like, his -10 is also really cool. It's 3 turns away. He will stick on board after. Like, you're removing things we get him. You draft him. You win will slam him. He's going to win drafts. Chromatic Ori, commander card. Maybe you pick this up if you want to play it. It's just going to be, like, really hard to actually make work. Chrome Upkitter, I could see this working in some kind of fun standard deck or clone deck if you have, like, pick up a bunch of, like, a cheap thing. It's a 5-drop 4/4 outside of that. I don't see yourself picking it up very early. Epitaph Golem is interesting, a 5-drop 3/5 that can put things from the top to the bottom. So if you got Rada or like 2 Radas, I could see myself picking this up to maybe like filter through land drops, but you don't have a lot of ways to look. Oh, sorry, it's from the graveyard. Oh, that's cool. So you can potentially keep yourself from getting milled out. So maybe this is pick up if you don't have anything better in that pack that could potentially sideboard in. It also could let you shuffle if you get like Fabled Passage. I don't know. I think this is honestly there probably for another Krenko or Grenko, Grizdo. There's a commander in that's like black-red that does something like that. Meteorite's cool. If you're not in red, this is removal. People played it when it was last printed. They'll play it again. I like the page counters here. It works for your life gain synergies. You're not drafting unless you absolutely have to, probably, but it's there. Let's just scry 1 or draw a card. 4/4, then there's tap. Bad. Played a mirror. It's ramp. It's ramp and colorless, which could be really good. It depends if you're in 2 colors. You can pick it up and go from turn 3 to turn 6. Pretty quick. I like it, especially if you drafted an Ugin. Prismite, probably not picking it up. Short sword. It's iffy. We have Molten Ice, so I'd be if you're about the equipment. We'll have to see. Some of my dog's breaking a little bit for me. Psalm Smokrum, I like this card. I'm on board. I like the art for this a lot too. 4-drop to get you to turn 5. And when it dies, draws a card. I think it's really cool in draft. It's really cool in commander. It's really cool in brawl. It might even see standard play. Sky Scanner, same thing. 3-drop for 1/1 flyer that draws you a card. It cantrips. It could see play. I think if you don't have a lot of options, I pick this up. It's a common, so you'll probably see a couple of them. Silent Dart. If I'm really hurting for removal, I'll pick this up. I could see myself actually playing Sparkhammer Mastercore. There's not a lot of Planeswalkers that really target him in this set. Like, you can't get Chandra burned, I guess, but she hits it for 2. And you can't get Teferi phased, which is at least nice. And he can just pay mana to damage Planeswalker or get Indestructible. So I think the Indestructible is really what you need to think about. He's a 3/4 on 3 that can now get Indestructible each turn and swing in, like in response to doing. Torment Script, I'll pick it up if I have it. There's not that much graveyard stuff in here that we really need to worry about. Animal Sanctuary, awesome. We can see some of the dog cat stuff. Grab lands is needed. Vivid Passage is needed. Yeah. And that is it. I think overall, there's a lot here. I don't want to make anything too crazy. I think that white-green is going to feel really strong. I also think that red-green is going to feel very strong. And I also think that white-blue is going to strong. Black seems like it needs something a little extra. There's like not that much life gain here. But that's all. I'm excited for it. Thanks for listening to me for the last like hour and a half. Big fan. I have an idea of what I want to do next week, but I'm super excited. What's this? Oh. What? This is people who actually did it? Oh, cool. Either way, thanks for watching. As always, guys, be radiant.